Welcome to One Tired Teacher, episode 91, a teacher's perspective on the new normal. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about teaching during the pandemic and back to school and what it's been like. And I'm not going to promise that it's going to be positive and light and airy. I think it's going to be real. So if you need to feel like you were heard or understood, then this episode is for you. If you are doing your very best to only think about the positives and really stay in the moment, then maybe it's not, or maybe it is. Maybe it's a time to be honest with yourself and to really hear why someone might feel like it's difficult. Either way, I hope you stick around.
Welcome to One Tired Teacher. And even though she may need a nap, this teacher is ready to wake up and speak her truth about the trials and treasures of teaching. Here she is, wide awake. Wait, she's not asleep right now, is she? She is awake, right? Okay. From Trina Debery Teaching and Learning, your host, Trina Debery.
Hey, so it's been the first week back with kids for me, and I have lots of feelings going on, like in my mind, and how I have felt all week. And I will tell you, I'm super tired. So I think you can hear it in my voice, and I apologize for that rough kind of sound, and there's no way to get rid of that right now because it is what it is. It's just pure exhaustion. It was a really long, tiring week. But before we get to that, I do want to share actually something really positive. And that is, I have the privilege of being a part of this amazing group of STEM experts in Elementary STEM Club. It is a really special community of, like I said, experts, also of teachers and of people that are doing STEM or trying to do STEM during this difficult time of like not being able to share materials, having difficulty collaborating with children, and all those kinds of things that are barriers right now. But this club is a light in what feels like the darkness to me. So it is a light. We have some excellent people, like Teachers Are Terrific and Teach Outside the Box, Vivify STEM, some really amazing people that have come together and are creating some special moments with teachers. And it's a 3-month experience. You'll gain access to some awesome resources from some STEM experts. We'll also be focusing on 3 essential STEM themes. August was team building, and August is almost over, but it's not over. And also the material doesn't go away. Like, you get it, you have access to it. And the next month in September, we'll be doing the engineering design process. And in October, we'll be focusing on growth mindset and failure. And we'll be offering recommendations on activities to support with these themes. We will have picture books that introduce the themes. We will have interviews with some very famous authors of these picture books, which is super exciting. I am over the moon to talk to one very special author. I feel like they've said that he's coming, but I don't know if we've said it out loud yet. But I'm going to give you a hint. What do you do with a problem? So anyway, I'm excited, and there's also panels of discussion so that we can really dig through some of our obstacles and some of our challenges and really talk about some important topics. There's also a lesson that you will receive and an activity, and you will get, direct instruction of how to carry that out and what to do, and even accommodations for this time of year. It's a community of support. It is a area to inspire, and you can also be real. Like, if you're struggling, put it out there and see what suggestions other people have. I think that is so important right now. It's most especially important. So if you're interested, you can find Elementary STEM Club. You can grab it at trinadeberyteachingandlearning.com/ESC. ESC for Elementary STEM Club. So trinadeburyteachingandlearning.com/ESC. So hop on over there and you can sign up to join us at Elementary STEM Club. I hope to see you inside the group. So let's talk about some of the things that we are facing and look at, a teacher's perspective on the new normal. I'm just going to tell you, it's hard. And the expectations that are on teachers right now, actually every teacher in the school. I am the media specialist, which is still a teacher and still considered a teacher. And I have a more flexible schedule than a classroom teacher because I kind of got to make up my own schedule. And I do see classes, 6 classes a day in the media center. And I'm hoping to be able to, on top of them being able to check out books and learn new technology and research and come in and do work in the makerspace, I also plan on co-teaching and pushing into classes and helping teachers, integrate technology in a meaningful way, because I'm also the instructional technology coach at my school, and I'm hoping to do those things. And I'm supporting the learning teachers that we have online. We have an e-learning teacher at every grade level who are overloaded with students so that they can keep the class sizes low. And I have a mixture of feelings on this. I think keeping class sizes low is understandable because it's so difficult in the classroom with the sanitation expectations and the social distancing. But I also feel really strongly that we're overloading our e-learning teachers, and I don't know how we can expect a successful learning experience, a virtual learning experience, when these teachers are dealing with 40 and 50 students. I think that's unfair, and I think it's outrageous. And it makes me sad for the teacher and sad even for the students, because how are you going to do, one-on-one calls with that many children? You're not going to be able to do as many as you would be able to do if you had a traditional size classroom. And I think it's outrageous that we don't have a cap on it. And I think that they need more teachers. And the sad thing is we can't find teachers because teachers are leaving in droves, and understandably, because it is hard and it's difficult, and there's little regard for you as the educator, and there's you're being criticized from all over the place. And it's a difficult situation when the Secretary of Education comes on and says in public that we were, basically just doing nothing and sitting back in the spring. That's hard to come back from. That's a hard thing to say. I mean, my principal thankfully wrote a note to us and said that he knew that is not what we were doing, and told us that we were all rock stars. And I was very thankful for that, because I was angry, so angry, because I don't know what she's thinking saying that. It was crisis schooling for sure. Did it look absolutely perfect? No, but who can readjust in a weekend's time? It's insane, the expectation. So it makes me very angry to hear things like that, and to see teachers get taking such a bashing. So that's difficult. So I wanted to kind of explain some of the things that I see from my point of view and my perspective. And maybe that will help you to feel heard. Maybe it will help you feel like, yes, somebody gets it. Somebody understands what I'm going through. And maybe it, you might feel like, no, that's you're looking at all the negative things, and you've got to look at the positives. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm having a hard time seeing some of the positives. And I do see some positives, and I'll share that as well, because I think it's only fair to say the things that I have, seen. But I feel like, I think it's hard when people are, and I do think we're hard on one another. I'm going to say that. But I think it's hard it is hard for me when I see posts of people like, oh, I'm so happy to be face to face with my students. Everything's great. I can't wait to have a great year, as if nothing is actually going on. And I think ignoring the elephant in the room doesn't make it go away. It makes people feel that can't do that have a difficult time doing that, like there's something wrong with them, and they're not good enough, or they're unable to see positive things, and it hurts. It hurts me. So I wonder if there's anyone out there that feels the same way. You feel like wow, if this person can, my friend from this other school or this person I once worked with or my sister-in-law or whoever, you see that and you think, wow, like how are they able to see such a positive thing when there's actual chaos existing in front of us? Like that's the part that's difficult for me. That's a difficult thing. So let me get into it. Let me get into specifically what I mean. So I think the thing that I feel like the public possibly doesn't understand, parents don't understand. Like I feel, first of all, like in my state, I live in Florida, I feel like we were bullied. Like we had a mandate of opening schools 5 days a week. We had several districts try to go against that and say they didn't feel like it was safe. Our numbers are increasing. They didn't want to be a petri dish or a guinea pig for an experiment, and they were like, no, we don't feel comfortable, we don't think it's safe, or we're going to stay shut, we're going to do virtual learning for the first 4 weeks. And then they were like threatened with they won't be funded. And which feels so illegal to me. And there's a lawsuit in my state from the teachers union against this, and hopefully they'll make some leeway, because I think that's wrong. It feels wrong to me on so many levels, and so that's a frustration for me. So we didn't have the option. We had to go back. We did give parents the option. So we do have, at my school, we have like over 200 e-learning students, and then about 400 face-to-face or combination of hybrid, which initially hybrid students weren't going to be mixed with face-to-face students. And so that all feels like a lie to me, like we offered something that was impossible to deliver. And our governor promised things that are impossible to deliver. And then we've got parents complaining about, how are you going to keep my child safe? And the bottom line is we're going to do the best we can because we love children, but we're not going to be able to do it. We're not perfect. We're not going to be able to do it. It isn't, you've asked us to do the impossible. When you're talking about asking children to socially distance, you can do the very best you can, but it is impossible. And let me say it again, it's impossible. I had four students, that's it, 4 kindergartners that I was taking with me to the media center to get their badges. I had to take pictures for individual badges of the whole entire school. And I took the table around to all the different hallways and pulled the kids out there so it would be least intrusive to the teachers. But then there were kids that, didn't show up the first couple of days, and then they did show up. And so had some stragglers on Thursday and Friday that I don't mean to call them stragglers, but they just weren't there. And so it was just like a few kids here and there. I wasn't going to drag the computer and table all over the school for like a handful of students. So I went and picked up the kindergartners because I wasn't going to have them walk down to the media center by themselves. They don't even know where their classroom is. So I had the 4 kids. We were walking in the hall and, practicing social distancing. I literally turned my back for 2 seconds to open the door. And next thing you know, 2 little ones are hunched together, looking at something, looking at their badge. I think it was when we were walking back, actually, looking at each other's badges. And I turn around and I'm like, okay, we're going to separate, and you say it in a nice way. But like that actually hurts me. I don't know how that doesn't hurt other people. Maybe you're telling yourself I'm trying to keep them safe, so they have to be apart. But I think this is what we're teaching children, that they're not safe to make a human connection. You're actually not safe to make a human connection, and I don't want that to be the new normal. I don't want that for kids. I don't want that for myself. I don't want to tell them I'm not going to hug them. And I haven't. I've let them hug me. And I don't want to see them separated. I don't want to be okay with that. I feel like if I'm okay with that, that means that I'm okay with all the separation that exists for people. And I don't want to be okay with that. I don't want to lose that connection. I don't want kids to lose that connection to each other. And so I don't understand how it is okay. It doesn't make sense. And so I feel like if parents choose to send their kids back to school, then the risk is they're choosing to take the risk.
and they can't blame the teachers for not trying or not doing their best. And that's that. So I feel like, I don't know, like we had a lot of people that had to be quarantined and students that couldn't come back to school. And at first they told us that they would shut down the whole school. And then they decided, nope, we'll shut down departments. And then they decided, they just keep backing it off, which to me says it's not as serious to them, or it's not as vital that we take care of our employees or even our children. And so if you're going to make those decisions, then how can you be upset when we have positive cases? And our superintendent was upset because we had this happen, and she blamed they weren't following the policy or they weren't following the protocol. And I just felt infuriated by that. Like, how dare you? How dare you be surprised that that's happening? What did you think was going to happen? And yes, like I tried to keep them separated. It was in a split moment. It's just like saying I tried to keep, someone from drowning if I put them near the pool. Like, I'm going to expect that someone might fall in. I have to be ready for that. And I had my daughter when she was 4, maybe younger, actually. She didn't know how to swim yet. I guess she was younger. And she walked with me through the fence to check the skimmer, because we didn't have a cage. Like, ours was open in the backyard, but we had a fence, or like a baby gate or whatever it's called, all the way around the pool. And so she was right behind me, and I was checking the skimmer because sometimes we would get snakes or frogs in there. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw her slip off the edge into the pool. And I still had all my clothes on. I jumped into the pool and I got her up out of the water. She wasn't even underwater for maybe even 2 seconds. And I got her up, and, it scared her, and she started crying. And of course, like, I started crying, but I had her out of the pool within seconds. But it only takes seconds. That's the thing. It only takes seconds. And she was right there with me. It wasn't like I left her unattended. She was right there with me. She slipped off the edge. And it was like, I wouldn't have even heard her because it wasn't like she made a big splash. It was just that I saw her out of the corner of my eye. Thank goodness. I mean, and I was right there. I would have turned right back around. It wouldn't have ended fatally, but that's how it does. That's how it does end fatally. And that's what it feels like to me. It's the same kind of situation. Like, you can be right there. You can tell them to separate. You can be standing there, and then they are there together in a moment's notice, like in a split second. It just happens because they're children and they don't understand the urgency. And again, I don't know if I want them to understand the urgency, because I don't want them to feel scared. I don't want them to grow up scared. I don't want them to grow up not having made connections with humans. I think that feels worse. So I think that part's hard. And when we act surprised by it, it just makes me angry. It makes it feel unfair, and I feel trapped or tricked. Like, they put these expectations in place and they tell the public we're doing all these great things, and then we don't, or we can't, and then they blame us. And I think that's wrong and horrible. I think that's horrible. And so if you take if you make the choice to send your child to school, then it's on you. It's not on anybody else. We'll do the best we can, but it's on you. And it just, I don't know, like, even with the sanitation, like, I clean the media center every single day myself. We wipe down the tables and I vacuum because they eat in there, because there's not enough room in the cafeteria, and they're eating in the halls, and they're eating in places they shouldn't be eating, and they have their masks off while they're eating. And it's hard. And there's no other way to keep them separated. So it's very hard. And then we, have our regular custodians doing the best that they can, but they can't do everything. And so it's, you're doing multiple different kinds of jobs, and it's more work than ever, and it's stressful. And that makes it really hard. And on top of all that, you have to be responsible for them academically. And like making up for lost time and making up for what they missed in the spring. And sometimes I feel like saying, can we just back off a little bit, because everybody's in this same boat. It's not like someone's going to jump ahead because, they had a different scenario. We all are in this same scenario. Can we meet them where they are and move them forward? And instead of like hammering them with this, we've got to catch up mentality.
And then on top of that, we have the social and emotional aspect of, the first couple of days, kids did so much better than I thought they were going to do. Like they kept their masks on and they came to school and they seemed to like they were glad to be there, which was, good part. That was the joyful part. And we all missed them. And it was nice to see them. And I felt really, as much as I thought it, I'm doing badges all day. And sometimes I feel like schools don't use their resources very well. Like if it was a business model, are you going to pay, a person that has this many years and a master's and whatever to do this kind of tedious job? I don't feel like we use our resources very well, but it's okay because I actually enjoyed doing it because I got to see every child in my school's whole entire face. And that was really special. And isn't that sad that that's the thing? And I got to see them smile because they were getting their picture taken. Or most kids, fifth graders don't smile. They try to look serious. Which I'm like, do you want it to look like a mugshot? I didn't say that. But I was thinking it in my head. And it's funny. And then when you tell little ones to like smile into this little teeny crappy camera and they like get up and they like scooch up to the camera so their face is like right there and you have to remind them to back up because they don't need to be right there. Oh, it's so funny. They were so funny. And so like that part was like, that part was good and it took days. It took days to get all the way through that because I had a bad machine that cost lots of money and it kept breaking and it was just one dumb thing after another. And so, but I go, okay, like, what about, after this first few days and they started breaking down, like then kids started breaking down, then like behavior started coming out and people were struggling to keep masks on and struggling to maintain a social distance and struggling to catch up. And so like, I think that's going to get worse. Like, I think that's what I actually imagined to start with. So I was surprised to see that it was better than I thought, and which is a good thing. And then, but I'm afraid that that's going to get harder. And as we go along, and are people going to post that? Are they going to post, everything's great here. I'm so happy. Everything's wonderful. And my kids are melting down and they don't understand and they're upset and they're tired of not being able to play on the playground. Like, are you going to post that? Like, I just wonder. I wonder. And then another thing that I think that we face as educators is like the voice of the public, like how criticizing it is and how hurtful that is. Like to see these, people calling teachers lazy and telling us that we just don't want to do our job and we should get back to doing our job. And nobody said they didn't want to do their job. They just wanted to do their job safely. And you're being criticized for doing it safely when like professional athletes are getting a bonus or money to not be on the field and being commended for their decision for being safe. But we're condemned for wanting to be safe. Like, I don't understand that. And then our judgment of each other. Like, you feel like you're doing something wrong if you aren't, again, pretending to be happy, to be face to face. That's a struggle for me. Like, that's always been a struggle for me when it comes to teachers, being hard on one another. And I don't know why we do it, or I guess it's because we ourselves are treated so badly, so poorly from a system that we in turn around and do the same thing. It's like being abused and then abusing others, yourself, because that's all you know is abuse. And I want that to really sink in because it feels like that sometimes. And that's hard. And like, is there something that we can do to stop treating one another that way? I feel that way even at my own school. And it's hard, like when you work with people that leave you out or aren't very nice to you or expect you to do things that are kind of silly or whatever, or they put you in situations on purpose because they don't like you or whatever the situation may be. I think that is so awful and so hard. And I was really lucky to spend most of my career with people that felt like my family. And even my first year teaching, my first several years teaching, and then years and years of teaching, both teams of people I felt like were my family. And I valued each one of them and felt like somehow, like I survived a lot of things that frustrated me because of them. And like I spent a lot of really happy memories with that. And I spent time around teachers that were like beyond like just teaching from a textbook. They were imaginative and creative, and they loved children, and they cared about doing things better and different. And I was inspired and motivated, and I felt like that's what teaching was. And then after that, after 20 years, when I have had different experiences, it's not the same experience for me. Like it's not the same. I haven't felt like it's my family. I don't have a team. I don't have people to lean on, people to talk to when I get frustrated about something, or something to tell them that I'm excited about. Like, here's a joy. I'm gonna insert a joyful moment. So I got to open the media center finally yesterday, even though there's computers everywhere. Like, I've spent all of June cleaning it up, and now it's just a mess on one side of the media center. It was all over the media center. Now it's at least on one side, because I needed to let kids come back in. I'm like, I've got to get them back in. They have to be in. They have to be reading. They have to be excited. And so they came yesterday, and that was exciting. And so they picked out books, and they checked. Some of the classes checked out books. Some classes didn't, because I was just wanted to do an orientation, but then I realized that I wasn't going to be at school the next Friday. So I thought, I have to let these kids check out books so they have books. So I was doing my afternoon duty in the afternoon, and I'm standing out in the hall, and I see this third grader that had come through, and she's literally walking with her book open. She's reading as she's walking. And I'm like, right there, that kid. That's what makes it okay. Like, she's reading while she's walking because she can't wait to read. That's what I want to see. So that was good. That was a good thing to see. So I have to remember those happy parts. And so I'm going to get to that part in just a second. So a few more things from thinking about, our new normal. Like, I struggle with seeing kids in masks. Like, I don't want to see that as normal either. I don't want to not be able to see their smile or see their face. I do feel like we are in some kind of a like crazy sociological movie. And I don't want that to ever feel like it's the way it's supposed to be. And then I had two more kindergartners. I was walking to get badges, and they're like, why can't we play on the playground? Like, I just want to swing, a little girl said. And I was like, oh man, we can't play on the playground because we can't keep it clean. And it just was like, it just felt like it just stabs you in the heart and sad. And then kids sitting in rows, like we've taken such a giant step backwards. There's no collaboration, and there's no teamwork and community. I had to read to a kindergarten class yesterday, and they were all in rows, like all spread out, and you can't bring them to the carpet and have this intimate moment. And that is sad to me. I mean, I did have fun because I got really super dramatic, and the book that I was reading is a must read for kindergartners. It's called The Book with No Pictures by B.J. Novak. Oh, it's so good. And you can do, silly voices and get really animated, and I was like stomping around, and the kids were laughing so hard as the kindergartner fell out of their seat, and which I guess is typical for kindergartners. And so that was fun, but man, it's hard to see them in rows like that, like isolated. So I just think that's a lot, and that's what school looks like right now. And I think, I don't know, I think that's sad. I do. I think it's sad. And is it worth the risk? And if it really truly is, if we are such an integral part of the economy, then they really need to treat teachers like they are. And they need to pay us like we are. If we're really essential workers and we have to put our life on the line, then I think we need to be paid like we are. I think we need to be praised for that. And I think we need to be respected. And I think that we have to hear kind words and not just shout outs from
our principal on email. Like, I definitely am a words of affirmation person, but I think when you do things like that, when you do shout outs to individual people, sometimes it's always the same people, and it makes other people feel left out and like they are not good enough. And I don't think that's what we can do. And I think we have to be careful of that even in our own classroom when we're praising students publicly. I like the way you're doing blah, blah, blah. Like, and it's always to the same people, and the people that, it's just, I don't know what kind of culture that brings. So I think we have to be careful about that. I think we're, give encouraging words and words in privacy and private praise and things like that. I think that can be motivating. My principal for 20 years that I loved, he would write us these things called a drop in the bucket. And he gave us, it was an actual drop. The paper was like created that way. And he would write these things, specific things about things he noticed that we were doing. Oh, I loved those. I still have them. 25 years later, I still have ones that he gave me from the very beginning and later on because they were so meaningful. They meant a lot to me. All right. So that's my perspective on the new normal. And I know it was hard to listen to, but maybe you can relate in some ways. So what can we do? What can we do with this? Like, how do we move forward? Because I think it's important for us. I think it's important for us to be honest. I think it's important for us to feel our feelings. I think we have to feel our feelings, because if not, we're shoving them down. And I spent like 2 weeks shoving my feelings down, and then I would come home and eat and I've gained like, I don't know how many pounds, but I got to get myself under control with that, because I don't think I've weighed this much since I was pregnant, and my kids are 20 and 16. So that is not a good thing. So shoving feelings down is not an option. So that's what I'm going to say. Like, that's the number one thing I want to tell you, is to take care of yourself. Like, take care of yourself, get rest, sleep, go to sleep on time, set boundaries. Don't stay at school forever. Don't say yes to everything. Don't feel like you have to be a superhero. You already are. You already are a superhero. You don't have to prove it every single day. So leave on time. Stop judging one another. Understand that we are in a scarcity. And so a scarcity mentality is going to creep in, but we have to be careful of that. We have to be careful not to have that, well, she doesn't have to do this or he doesn't have to do that. Like, we have to try not to think like that. We want to think about a win-win, not somebody wins and somebody loses, but both people win. Like, how can we solve this problem so that both people walk away and feel okay with it? We have to pay attention to each other's feelings. We have to seek out those connections with others because we are lacking them. We have to join groups that support each other, just like the elementary STEM club that I was talking about at the beginning. Like, I want to participate more in that. I want to hear the inspiration. I want to deal with the people that are feeling like they're overwhelmed, and I want to emotionally support them, and I want us to inspire one another. So if you're looking for something like that, then Elementary STEM Club might be a really good option for you. And it's a very reasonable price. Again, you can find it at TrinaDebery.teachingandlearning.com/ESC. So seek those things out. And if you don't want to do that, then seek out other groups. I have a makerspace thinking and learning group. Like, seek out groups where you can find people that get how you are feeling. Seek out connections and be honest with your feelings, and also support each other. Another thing I think that we can do is I think we can avoid places that discourage honest feelings. Like, if you're only allowed to say the positives, I understand having a positive mentality. I understand knowing that we have to do it. Like, most people don't have a choice. So, which can feel, like you're trapped. But so we have to move forward. And that's okay. We have to. We're going to move forward. But if you aren't allowed to talk about hard things, is that really the place for you? For me, I need to be real. I need to be honest. I need to be able to talk about what I need to talk about. I will move on. I will persevere. I will move forward. I have moved forward my whole life with lots of hard things. I haven't gotten stuck forever. I have gotten stuck for a long time in some things, but I haven't gotten stuck forever.
and I won't get stuck again. But I also need to be able to share what I need to share. So and you don't have to talk about things negatively all the time. You don't want to be negative all the time because it just brings you down even further. So if you have to avoid some situations or conversations, I actually had a friend that I've had forever. She posted something political. It was so nasty that I was like, oh my gosh, I can't even look at this or respond to it. I didn't read it any further. I decided I'm not going to read this any further. It's going to change the way I think about this person. I'm just going to unfollow them right now because what they are putting out there is something that I can't handle. It's like, right now I feel like I'm carrying these rocks and all of these rocks, and everybody keeps putting another little rock on me and thinking it's not a big deal because it's just a little rock and all these little rocks, and I've got all these rocks in my arms, and then this person put one more rock on and it just was going to come crumbling down. So it's okay for me to put down the rocks. So I put down the rocks when it came to that because I can't deal with that right now. And it's all right to do that. We need to balance it. We need to have a balance. We need to ask for help when we need it. We need to believe in what we are doing. We need, especially if you're the kind of person that is like, feels like they're trying to live for a purpose. And you feel like your life is supposed to matter or mean something to someone. So if you're doing that, then you've got to believe in what you're doing. And you got to find the joy each day. You got to see that kid walking down the hall reading while they're walking, even though we tell them not to do that because they're going to run into the person in front of them, which is not social distancing. But like the love of reading is happening, and that is something that means a lot to me. We got to find the joy each day. And one way we can do that is keeping a gratitude journal. I think this is such a strong practice. And it can be so beneficial. And I actually created a gratitude journal years ago. It's in my store on TPT. I'll link to it in the show notes because you could use it as an adult too. It's also a great thing to use with kids. It has some very beautiful gratitude quotes that you can talk about with your kids and have a really good discussion. And then it's a place to write down something you're grateful for. And it has a place for you to draw something if you're younger. I think practicing gratitude is really beneficial. And I'm going to get that out myself, and I'm going to use it. In fact, I feel like I might have made it digital, but I don't know if I did. And if I didn't, I will on TPT, where you can like add text boxes and assign it in Google Classroom. So I'm going to write that down so I don't forget, because I think that could be a really powerful practice right now, a gratitude journal. And teaching kids to do the same. I think that's important. All right. So this was a pretty intense episode. And if you made it this far, thank you for sticking around. And I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your perspective, because if you really truly are being honest with yourself and you are finding joy every single day, I'd love to hear that. I need to hear some positive stories as well. And if you're struggling and you need to talk about it, I'd love to hear that too. Leave it in the comments of on the show, like rate the show and leave a comment on iTunes or wherever you're getting your podcast, or leave it on my website. The podcast also plays on my website, TrinaDebery.teachingandlearning.com. And you can go to One Tired Teacher to the episode and leave a comment. You can even rate me if you want at tdebery at TrinaDeberyTeachingandLearning.com. And I would love to hear from you there as well. Or you can catch me on Facebook or Instagram. And on Instagram, it's TDebery, T and L. And on Facebook, it's Trina Debery Teaching and Learning, or Trina Debery. Either one. I can take it from all those places. Anyway, thanks for hanging in there. Thank you for being who you are and for all that you're doing and all that you're overcoming. Thank you for showing up for our students and for each other. This One Tired Teacher is ready for a Saturday. Until next time, sweet dreams and sleep tight.